This program is powered by AIM Employers Association and Ogletree Deacons, a Feature Group USA production.
Hello, everybody. I'm Phil Brandt, President and CEO of AIM Employers Association. And recently, Google stated workers can save more than 120 hours a year by using AI in administrative tasks. But just because we can automate them, does that mean we should? Strap in. I'm about to get fired up on This Week at Work.
Welcome to This Week at Work, the only show to pack workplace news, practical HR solutions, and timely insights into every 30-minute episode. From the latest rulings in the courtroom to the strategies unfolding in the boardroom, and from real conversations taking place on the front lines to spotlighting what similar companies are doing about the challenges they face, This Week at Work brings you the conversations that matter most to HR professionals and business leaders like you. Brought to you by AIM Employers Association and Ogletree Deacons, live every Thursday morning. This is your opportunity to connect with their experts and ask your burning questions. So what's keeping you up at night? Let's face it together now on This Week at Work.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm happy to be here with you. Our partner, Burt Garland, is off on business currently, but standing in for Burt is a show favorite, Lauren Patel. Lauren works here at AIM, and Lauren has got many roles that she plays for us, but one of the most significant and important roles she plays with us is being our partner and helping us develop our AI technology, such as Amy Hart and some of the other things that we're working on to bring value to our members. So I invited Lauren to join us today, and let's talk a little bit about what's happening with AI, what's AIM doing, and how are we looking at it, and maybe that will help you along your journey of AI advancement as well. Good morning, Lauren. How are you today?
Good morning. Doing well.
Good. Thank you for joining us. I know you love the topic of AI, but I'm curious, being a power user that you are and someone that was on the early adoption curve, when you hear 120 hours saved annually, what would be your over or under on that?
I mean, I feel like if it's possible to save 120 hours a month, I probably do.
Yeah.
Just with how much I use it and for so many different tasks. So I will definitely take the over.
Yeah, I would too. I think maybe that's more of an average that they're referring to and taking in people who are just starting the journey or those who are advancing along the journey. But what I have found, and I'm going to guess you would say the same, is the more I'm interacting with AI, the more I see the opportunities to use it. And I'm not just saving time any longer here at work. I'm saving time at home, in my personal life, no matter what it is that I might be doing. And even recently up into and doing yard work, as crazy as that sounds, I discover weeds. I'm like, okay, that weed isn't being killed by the weed killer I'm spraying on it. I take a picture of it. I send it into ChatGPT, and then it tells me exactly what to get, how to use it, and what to do about it. And it's just little simple things like that that just start to happen where I'm using it all the time, even in my personal life. And most recently on a fishing trip, I used it for some fishing tips. But I will tell you, I still didn't catch any fish. Are you finding that you're using it more and more, even outside of the workplace?
For sure. I use it in my personal life daily. Everything from, I know that sounds terrible, but grading my son's homework. I don't have time to look through 60 math problems and check through all of them. I got to make dinner. We got chores to do. So I take a picture, scan it, and it tells me what he got right and wrong. Funny enough, a couple weeks ago, I was driving up to speak on AI to a group in Illinois, and I used the voice function on my drive to book an entire trip to Kansas City. I didn't lift a finger. I just said, this is what I want. Tell me about it. I discovered new things I didn't know. So if I had to do that research, I know I would have gotten into analysis paralysis. So if we're talking about time, it kind of weeds out all of the options and brings it in to help you make quicker decisions too. So all day, every day, AI user for sure.
Yeah, that's funny. I've recently used it to book a trip as well. And my wife, who is not necessarily the early adopter to AI and doesn't like even hearing me talk about it anymore, I guess I get a little carried away with the enthusiasm of it. it's interesting. She wanted to do it the old way, and she wanted to go on Expedia and look at photos and kind of reminisce what the hotel might be about and so forth. And so we had a little challenge to see who could come up and discover the best deal, and I won with AI.
I love it.
So it was quite interesting. Yeah. So all kinds of good uses, but I think the question is how do we use AI at work as professionals? And you've been involved in some programs, and you were able to help and develop a program called AI versus AI. Can you tell me a little bit about that program?
Yeah, so we launched the program in July during our AI and HR week. And I think it was eye-opening for me as I dove deeper into that one specific lane of AI, not even so much of how we're using it, but almost how it's being used on us by the candidates. So it was a different view, and I was able to bring that down to Cape Girardeau, I guess it was just last week or the week before, and talk with that crew there. So it's been really insightful, and it's changing so rapidly. Every time I talk about it, there's a new tool I have to include. And I'm saying, like, within the span of 2 weeks, I have to go in and update the slide deck. So it's changing rapidly. The tools are coming in like crazy, but it's been really helpful for our HR professionals, for our recruiters to see what am I doing, but what's happening on the other side of the aisle as well. Because even if these companies have a no AI policy, it's still in there. A lot of times it's built into the recruiting tools and the ATSs that they're using. So it's kind of one of those you might be using AI and you don't even know you're using it. We're finding that a lot too.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you talk about a no AI policy, and we know that there are businesses that have that, and for good reasons. I'm not challenging the reasons of should you or should you not have a no AI policy. That's up to each business to make that decision. But what I have found in this last month, when we just traveled the country going from one conference event to another and had a great chance to meet so many wonderful people across the country in the HR space. And our topic and what we were promoting was Amy Hart, a trusted AI HR resource that we've trained here at AIM that really it's landing, and she's approaching the top 5 AIs for HR already, and she's only been introduced just over a month ago and on this program. So it's fantastic on her early adoption rate. But just because your organization has a no AI policy, what I have found is that then is discouraging people from even learning about AI or for taking in AI outside of work. And I worry for people like that, that their company may have a no AI policy, but from a skill development and an ability to deploy AI effectively in their profession, that they might be falling behind. And I sure would like to get into some of that a little bit more with you. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take it away, producer Nick, real quick.
Level up your HR game with an AIM Employers Association membership. Get 24/7 expert support, exclusive training, and a network of peers. Join thousands of HR leaders building better organizations. Call AIM at 800-948-5700 or visit aimea.org today to learn about becoming a member.
All right. Well, we do love our members, and we are always trying to look out and help them be ready to meet the challenges that they have when they have them. And as I was saying, Lauren, going across the country and having conversations with professionals, and a common theme was, well, our company has a no AI policy, so I don't use it. And the first time I heard that, I was like, okay. But then after that theme started to develop, I was like, okay, this can be a real problem, right? Because I choose to leave that organization at some point, or I then become part of an organization that does adopt AI and does allow AI to be used. Then all of a sudden, I might be falling behind in my skill sets. And what's happening is a lot of people think AI is Chat GPT and that's it, and nothing more, nothing less. And that's what they see as AI. And therefore, maybe their vision's a little bit limited in how they can apply it. You have this really interesting Eisenhower Matrix. Can you introduce that matrix? I want to get into that a little bit, and maybe we can bring some insight into how you see AI advancing just in the space of human resources.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started using the Eisenhower Matrix probably about 5 or 6 years ago in sales training because my sales reps were having a really difficult time figuring out where do I spend my time? What's taking all my time? Why aren't I closing more deals? And as I've been speaking and kind of going around the Midwest just as you have, Phil, and speaking to all these groups, they're like, well, I'm afraid it's going to take my job and I have these policies in place that I can or can't use it. And so what am I doing and where am I going? And so I started to align it and think about this Eisenhower matrix, not so much from where is our time going, but what tasks would AI, whether in a generative AI form or an agentic AI form, or maybe someday an autonomous AI form, where would it start taking over? But as I started to think about that, I was like, we need to pull this back even a step more and think for those who are trying to find their place to jump in, where do I start? So that's when I went through and thought, what were the tasks if I never ever had to do them ever again, I would be thrilled about, because that's really where we want to start.
I got a very long list of those.
You and me both.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where I kind of started my journey and where so many of our introductory courses, like our ChatGPT courses, or when I'm doing an intro to AI speaking event, that's where we start. So, and it's funny because the first example that I give them as I'm getting people onto a generative AI platform for the very first time in real time with their peers, we don't do a work related instance. We don't do a work related prompt. I ask everybody, I say, does everybody know what they're having for dinner tonight? And everybody groans because it's the traditional adult problem that somehow just keeps coming every single day. And so we do that exercise of, like, what can I have for dinner tonight? Then we get more specific and we work on our prompts. But imagine if you never had to decide dinner for the next forever, right? How great would that be? This is just doing it for you, decision made. So that's kind of
We
where
need to jump ahead from deciding dinner to having a
making it.
robot
Yes.
prepare my dinner. That's
They do
right.
have
Yeah.
those like automatic spoon stirrer things now, so maybe we're
Well,
getting
I don't
close.
have one of those. Yeah, that's called Phil Brandt in our house. Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, it's been interesting as I've been working with these members and working through these speaking events and these different trainings, but we're kind of to that crux now of how do I jump in? Where do I jump in? Do I jump in my personal life? Do I jump in for work? Is it okay? Do I have permission? How much is this going to cost? And I think that's where AIM has really done a fantastic job of fulfilling our mission and bringing that to the HR community through Amy Hart. There's no charge. It's safe to use, and you can jump in it with a very easy way. We've kind of laid it out for you. We've given you sample prompts here as well. And if you were a part of our AI and HR week, and you can still find that content on our website, we don't want to take it down quite yet. You can go in and literally see, how do I sign up? Where do I log in? What do I type in first? And that takes the fear and the challenge out of it too.
So I like how, and I've seen some of your programs and I completely agree with it. Like, I think what I heard you say is let's jump in and have a little fun with it necessarily and kind of get used to it. It doesn't have to be so serious. Because often when I'm talking with a leader and I'm like, okay, well, what would you like to ask? They're like, I don't know. Like they're, and it's the space of I don't know what to do with it. It's almost like the first time someone saw Excel, as a tool, and they're like, "Well, what do I do with that?" And it's like, "Well, you can do all these wonderful things with it." Um, AI to me is a little bit like that. So, Amy Hart, if you are an HR professional or someone that is dealing with managing people, it's a great tool because it was built to help people in that position with the challenges that center around people management, and trained by AIM, and its content you can trust is going to be more reliable than what you might get from just using a regular chat GPT bot. All right, so tell me more about the matrix. So explain the axis for me and what the boxes are representing.
Yes. So, in accordance to that traditional Eisenhower matrix, we've got two different axes for us. The top one is all about urgency. How urgent is it? Is this a do it right now or a schedule it for later type task, or just do it in the micro moments of my day? And then on the left-hand side, we've got the importance axis. So, how critical is this item to me? So, as we kind of look and work through these boxes, we've got this combination of high importance, high urgency, which to me I call the crisis box. It's the stuff that comes up, the fires that have to be put out. To the
There's
right
never
of,
any crisis in HR,
I
so
mean, and no
yeah.
job, right? Not professionally, not personally, no crises ever. I mean, what a great life that would be, right? And then to the right of that, we've got our progress box. So those are the tasks that are super high importance, but it's not life or death if it doesn't get done this moment today. It's something that we would plan to do, we would schedule to do. As we work our way down that importance scale, on the left-hand side, we've got what I call our non-negotiables box. These are the things that have to get done, but if I could delegate it, I totally would. To someone else, to maybe something else like AI. And then at our bottom right of the lowest importance, the lowest urgency, I've heard it coined necessary evils. I call them unnecessary evils.
All
And those
right.
are the tasks that if we just never ever had to do them again, we would definitely just delete them off of our plate. So that kind of walks us through the matrix. And then as we started to think about, well, how does AI start to come into play? I think that unnecessary evil box is where so many people are starting. It's the stuff that we have to get done. We have to write the email. We have to sign off on the expense report. But imagine if we didn't have to.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the unnecessary evil box, right? So that's kind of our it's for low value repetitive task that really no one really loves doing these types of tasks. These are the things that kind of get in the way of everything else, as I've heard you describe it, such as, well, I have to go through my emails. I have to do some of these type of repetitive not adding value tasks. How can we start using AI to essentially delete them from our plate or eliminate them or minimize them? How do we start getting our 120 hours that Google's talking about?
So many of us have already started in ways that maybe aren't necessarily AI, but it's AI adjacent. So if anybody took time off this summer, what did you probably do with your inbox? You put on the automatic replies, right? So people knew when you were out, they knew how you were going to communicate or not, and when you'd be back. So if we think about that, let's take it into maybe some different tasks. I was thinking about expense reports this morning because I saw the alerts pop up on my phone that my team was submitting them and I needed to go through and do that. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be so great? How much time would I save each month if I didn't have to go through and look at receipt and the input and check to see, the date that they went to go visit their member at their office and go back and did the meeting hold and what was the location and what was that mileage from the office if I
Mm.
had a tool to do that for me. And when I think about where AI has already been stepping in and where some of the easiest, the lowest risk, the lowest lift places, it's really in that box. Think of it like things like the automatic replies or automatic bill pay in your personal life. Again, not exactly AI, but it's AI adjacent. And those are the tasks that it's really easy for us to utilize technology with appropriate parameters to deploy those tasks for us. So if you're not to that point, there might be some things in automations you could do. There might even be things like I set up quick steps in my Outlook inbox. So even if you're not to I'm going to use generative AI or start using agentic AI to take over these tasks for me and go do the expense reports. Maybe we use it to write the content and then set up a quick step in Outlook. It's little things like that that immediately start help us save time.
All right. So one of the things you said earlier on in the program, and we kind of giggled about it, but you being a mom and you have the ability to even grade your son's homework yet today, and there's going to come a day where you can't. Like that started for me like in second grade. I was challenged at that point grading my kids' homework. Um, how do you do that? How do you grade his homework? Give me an example. Math. Let's use that as an
Yeah.
example. That's a little bit fun. It's safe. It's not work related. I can do it at home. Nobody knows if I was successful or failed at it, and it might save me some time in doing the math equations, which for sure I would do with the different form of math than what was taught or what I learned versus what was taught today. How do you do that?
Yes. So every day my son comes home with a math worksheet and he has to do it under a certain amount of time. So I set the timer, he does it, we stop the timer, I write it down, but then the parents have to grade and if they get something wrong, they have to correct it. Well, sometimes these worksheets have 60, 80, 100 problems on them. And though I can do addition, that's just not where I want to spend my time. So what I do is I literally lay the paper down on my kitchen table, I take my phone and take a picture, and I have it where it can automatically just give me the option to send a chat GPT. And because I do it so much, chat already knows what I'm asking for when I upload a sheet that looks like that. So I
So at
take
that
the
point, it's
picture.
already learned that you don't have to say, please grade this, identify what's right or wrong.
Yes, it
It
will
just
go
knows now.
through. It'll go through and say, line two, problem six, or if they're numbered, whatever it is. It's also a really good test to how sloppy his penmanship is, because if it's poor, it can't make it out. So my son knows about ChatGPT. He uses it and he's like, I need to write clearly so mom doesn't have to grade it by herself.
Now he
So
hasn't learned to take a picture, upload it, and just write the answer down yet.
not, well, he doesn't have that technology available to him at school. So if he's going to do it, he's got to wait till we get home, but not yet.
All right. So another topic that I hear people talking about a lot with AI is in recruiting. That's one of the spaces I think it's more popular and kind of trending. It's a little bit easier for some of us to get our heads around. So let's just focus on recruiting. I know you just presented the session AI versus AI. Candidates are already using AI heavily. Candidates might be using it more heavily than the HR pros are using it in their selection process. So let's just talk about how can HR teams start using AI to streamline recruiting processes now, and what does that mean for the future of how we handle these like non-negotiable but consuming tasks?
Yes. So, what we first started teaching everybody when it came to recruiting last summer in our first AI and HR week was use generative AI to write your job descriptions, turn those into job ads, turn them into social media posts, and then let's write the interview questions for that job that we're hiring for. So, at first, we started with that. Now, what we're seeing is there's tools on both sides of the aisle for our candidates and for our recruiters. But this is where I feel like I need to throw up the little flag for a moment and say, your vendors, if you are using an ATS, your vendors likely already have some sort of AI function in there. We know Workday has it. We know there's a lawsuit against Workday because of said features. So one of my notes when I teach this course is you need to vet your vendors. There are things that you may or may not be aware that they're doing algorithmically with AI. So it's not a bad thing. We just have to know what they're doing and we have to be transparent in the process. So if we take it beyond just, the content that we're putting out as far as the
Mhm.
job ads, the posts, whatever that may be, and start talking about sourcing, we start talking about screening resumes. Those tools are out there. Some are separate, some are built in, but they can save a lot of time. You just have to be really responsible and thoughtful about how you put those parameters in there because you don't want to exclude great candidates just because they didn't hit your keyword threshold match.
Right.
So that's some of the stuff that we're seeing today. I believe we're going to see a point very soon where the entire process can just be taken care of by AI, which my sister-in-law is a recruiter and she's like, don't come for my job. But
But her
but
job will change and
her
it will
job will
evolve. And it's
change. And
important. And I know her and I know that she does stay up on this technology and so forth. Tell me real quick, 'cause I found that program to be very interesting. And I learned a lot of how candidates are using this technology during interviews.
mhm. Everywhere from, we think about the chat GPT resume, and I don't even care about that anymore. I'd be happy if someone was using it to customize versus doing it by hand. But I think the big shocker for everyone is how they were using it live in an interview. So there's tools that can help in in phone interviews, phone screenings, virtual interviews, where you can literally see the dictation of the interviewer and the interviewee live. But because I can feed it with my resume and the job posting and anecdotes about myself, little stories, it can literally answer the questions and I just read off the screen like a teleprompter. And I demoed that in real life just a couple weeks ago down in Cape Girardeau, and people were, I mean, the eyes were just huge because it's something, it felt so futuristic, but it's here and it's being used. So again, even if you have a no AI policy, your candidates could be using it too.
That's right. And if you want to learn more about that, how can they, is that program still available on demand, Lauren?
Yes, it is available on demand. If you go to our website, AAIMEA.org, go to training, look for those on-demand courses, you will see that there. AI versus AI, who's really recruiting whom? It's a quick 90 minutes. There's a lot in there, I promise you. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that program and I learned a lot myself, and I like to think I'm on the advanced side of this, but maybe not as much as I think. Gets back to those simple second grade math equation problems. All right. Let's talk one more box here. Let's talk about when we think about those really high stakes, urgent HR fires, like a sudden employee relations issue, whatever that might be. How do you see AI helping HR handle those crisis moments differently today versus in the future?
Yes. So in the future, I think if the more that gets outsourced to AI, it's going to try to really avoid that crisis bucket. We're going to try to figure out the employee relations issues that are brewing under the surface before they become a crisis. But today, some of the best things I can suggest and share that have been helpful is when in a crisis, especially if you're a department of one, you don't always have someone to talk it through with. You don't always have that second set of eyes and ears. So what I really like to do with, again, you can do it with Amy Hart, free generative AI, is here's the situation, here's everything I've done. What am I missing? Be my second set of eyes, be my second set of ears, and help me make sure that I'm running this investigation appropriately. Help me find my own blind spots. Also, I mean, maybe if you have an issue and you don't know how to appropriately respond, that could be an opportunity as well to say, here's what's up. Help me write an email. Help me to draft the communication, things like that. But again, if time is of the essence, save yourself some time and use some AI tools to help you
Yeah,
through that
because
crisis.
and sometimes it's as simple as it's easier to edit than to create, right?
Hmm.
We can put a little bit more critical thinking into our editing than we are using creative thinking when we're creating. And we'll switch in between creative thinking, critical thinking, these types of mental exercises. But when when time is the essence, that's a time when we need to just jump ahead a little bit. And you use AI in a similar way that I do, and many people look at me like I'm crazy when I say this, but it's becoming more popular. And once they see it in action and they've tried it, then I'm not as crazy as I might appear to be. But I will use AI as I will use Chat GPT, Amy Hart. As I'm driving down the road, I pull it up over the intercom system of the car and I engage in a full-on conversation
Hmm.
for things that you just talked about. It's like, okay, I want to learn a little bit more about this topic. Tell me and explain that topic. Sometimes I'll even say, explain this topic to me like I'm 12, just because the topic might be complex, right? Or if I am having a crisis moment of a business challenge, I might say, here's my challenge, this and that. What would you want? What should I consider as my top priorities when addressing this problem? And it just helps me recognize, okay, I've already thought of those things, or I didn't think of those, and I should be considering those as I move forward. And it becomes a conversation, not something I have to type and I have to read. And it allows me to do it on my time when I'm either to or from work or wherever I might be going. So that's just a little hint that some people may not be aware of, because a lot of people, what I've learned over the months, like, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Hmm.
But it's a great way of advancing the thought process. All right, I have, we're running out of time, but I do have one. We got to cover one more box here. If AI is going to take over a lot of our repetitive administrative tasks, that leaves HR with the progress work. What does that look like for HR to really own that space, and how can leaders make sure they're ready for it?
I think that this is the box that everyone wants to spend their time in, but the other three boxes are what end up taking up the time. So you can see how this kind of came out of my time management thought process, right? We want to be strategic. We want to do the big work. We want to do that very important, but fires came up, so I have to push it down. It just keeps kind of getting pushed down that totem pole, and then we're left with barely any time to do it. Well, when the other three boxes are basically those tasks are lifted off of you and they're automated, they're run through AI, this is what we have left. So when we say, I want to be strategic, AI, in my opinion, will be the thing that allows HR to get the biggest mass promotion into HR is now strategy, which means we probably need to do a little bit of work on this for ourselves. Everybody can always work on their strategic thinking. We can always use work on our critical thinking, our planning. But also what it means is that that's where our time is going to be spent, and that's where our value and impact is going to come with the organization. So for me, I've already been using this to help me design strategies for my communications team, for our advising team. We've used it to help build out and even consider different compensation strategies, different things that we can use. So not only is it not probably going to take that box, but you can still use AI to help you in those tasks. We've talked about Excel. I'm not an Excel person. It's not where I find my passion and joy. I like data analysis, but formulas are not for me. So I use AI, ChatGPT, AAIMEA, Hart to kind of help me think through and make sense of all the data. Because I want to know, I want the answers. I think a lot of answers lie in the numbers, but sometimes that analysis is tricky. So we even have a course on that as well to kind of help us. How do we say, I want to do data analysis, but I don't enjoy Excel. How can ChatGPT, AI, AAIMEA, Hart help me? And that's where I'm finding so much success in that progress bucket, because that's where we do the big work. That's what HR will be left to do. And it's what we say we want to do all the time. So I'm like, I feel like this is a win for HR to get the administrative tasks off so we can do the really big work that brings value to our company. And that's where, even if your current organization isn't, a big AI advocate, it is where we anticipate things to go. And that's where you're going to get to flex your muscles.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's really well said. And I know next week, Burt and I are going to move into the conversation about singularity, which is a really difficult concept for me to get my head around. But basically, as I understand it, it's when AI really becomes smarter than humans and can outperform the human thought process, thinking process, the human mind, and advancement happens very, very, very rapidly. Some people think we're very close to that. Others think we have some further to go. And I will let everyone in on a little insight. I had lunch with Burt the other day, and he sat down and he goes, Phil, he goes, a year ago, I didn't believe the things you were saying, and now I am right in line with what you're thinking. So I'm going to have him share some of that thought process next week when we're here back at 7:30. But before then, we do have our employment law update coming up, and you can register for that on the AIM website, AAIMEA.org. That program starts on September 17th with the legal update, and then part 2 is our policy and workshop and coaching. And that's a really important element to complement the legal update, because we hear about the things that need to change in our policy, and then we shelf it and we move on with all these other things that Lauren was just sharing about. And we have then that following the September program in October, which then allows you to address the issues that we talk about in the legal update through your policies and get those things off the shelf and done. If you're interested in becoming a member with AIM and getting some of the resources made available to you that Lauren just shared, you can go to our website and discover about becoming a member at AAIMEA.org. And until next week, now let's go out and be good to somebody. Take care.
Thank you once again for tuning in to This Week at Work. If you enjoy the show, please like it, share it, and make sure it's on your calendar every week. Ask your burning questions anytime and let us know what topics you'd like us to cover. Just go to hrask.org and be sure to leave a review wherever you catch our show to help other HR pros find us as well. We'll see you next week when we discuss what's happening this week at work.